Good evening and welcome to AHTV and friends. It's 6 p.m. here in the UK, 1 p.m. on the East Coast and 10 a.m. on the West. I'm joined today by, down below me, Dave at Alamo City down there in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Next to Dave, we've got Steve in Exeter.
Hello, gents.
And above Steve and to my left is Greg over there in the greatest county in England of Essex. Now, it's almost 24 hours since our opening game at home to the Barcodes of Newcastle United. And whilst I don't think anyone was particularly surprised by the result, judging by social media at least, there is a lot of disappointment with the performance. Now, personally, and I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me, I don't know, I believe that yesterday can be traced right back to the sale of Grady Diangana. Now, just let me explain, gents. If you tie up what's happened since Grady Diangana's gone, like the Mark Noble tweet, Jack Wilshere's Instagram post, Jim White talking bollocks on TalkSport, David Moyes' press conference before the game yesterday, did anybody see that?
No.
When he said there was one line in there, he said, "I think there's room for improvement in so many areas, but the one I've been put in charge of is on the pitch." Now, if you remember, when he came to the club, he said he wanted to change the philosophy, he wanted to change the top to bottom of the club, and now he's saying he's only been put in charge of things on the pitch. Now, everything, whether it's directly or subtly, I think, has been directed at David Sullivan from the players and the manager. So, I personally think that the wind has been taken out of the manager's sails, the coach's sails, the players' sails, just as much as it has the supporters. So, before I get your opinions on it, fellas, I just want to say good evening to everybody in the chat. That's filling up lovely. Thank you all for joining us. Maybe we'll take some questions later on, but certainly keep the chat and the comments coming. And if there's anything good, I'll bring it up on screen. So I'm going to start with David down below me. Now, am I right in what I said, Dave? Or am I way off? What do you think? What are your thoughts on the morale in the team and given what's coming? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, I mean, I agree that the morale in the team is definitely low. But I don't think we can just trace it back to Grady. I mean, Grady was like the last sort of blow, if you will, that's sort of rocked the boat. But you look back over the last 10 years, there's been a number of really, really poor decisions, player transfer wise, business wise, the way that they've treated, or the way that they've not backed certain managers and stuff, and they, things like that. It's a pattern of behavior that's been going on for years and years and years, and we're just now to the point where it's getting ridiculous. I don't think yesterday's win was just about Grady. I mean, you look at the team, we are so threadbare in a lot of areas. Cresswell was absolute dog shit. And there's no sort of decent replacement for him there. Mark Noble playing in the number 10 role. What's that about? The one decent bloke that we had that might have played a number 10 role was playing on the left wing where he's shit. There's just, and it's all because we don't have what we need.
Steve?
To be fair, I was gutted when Grady left, when they sold him. I watched him a lot last year in the Championship, and he seemed to do really well. He was up there probably with the top 5 players in the Championship, I'd say. But trying to make the transition into the Prem it doesn't always work. Look at Dwight Gow when Newcastle went down. He ripped up trees in the Championship. He can't hit a barn door in the Prem. So I don't know if Grady would have made the impact that we would have liked, but I think they shot everyone's morale because Grady was so well liked, mate. And yeah, the performance yesterday, it's been like that for about 5 years now, 5 seasons. It's like having a DVD on repeat, and it's just so tiring, mate. There's gaps everywhere. We need a left back. It's the Diop, mate. He's regressed so much as well. We need a centre back. We need a midfielder. Antonio's bound to get injured, isn't he? He's bound to get injured. You see him up there on his own, just foraging them long balls. It's inevitable what's going to happen, and everyone can see it apart from the owners. Yeah, it's a shambles, mate. Absolute shambles. And then what they do is that the Tarkovsky thing, I haven't even bought it, mate, because normally, like, I get so excited, but they normally, like, they'll link you to a big name. They'll string you along. And really, they got no intentions, mate. And that's what they do.
Yep. Greg, what are your thoughts, mate?
Exactly what you said at the start, Steve, to do with this. Dean Garner seems to be the catalyst for obviously the problems have been going on for years, but it seemed like a bit of a happy camp going into during pre-season. Yeah. Even going back to the friendly, and that's only a friendly down at Portman Road, but Haller said like the 3 assists for his goals, his hat-trick and all that. He said, I hope Dean Garner, who's in the team and supplies these crosses and all that. Within a few days, he's gone, he's out the door. Haller's not even in the starting lineup, but as Steve just said there at the bottom there, it's problems that have been going on for years. It's not just like this pre-season and all that, which seemed to be like, apart from any signings, seemed to be like a trouble-free pre-season. Like we just seemed to be like on the back of like staying up, and the form we was in a bit of form, and then like a short pre-season, and then we've seen we're going to hit the ground running here, but same old West Ham. You know what I mean? We shoot ourselves in the foot, and here we are. And even Cameron said the other day, he said it's like a must-win game, the first game of the season. You know what I mean? We're on the back foot straight away. The minute Dean Garner went out the door, everyone's nose has been put out of joint. We all know what Noble said or what he's tweeted and all that, and a few players have liked it, and so it just seems like the same old West Ham problems again. But it just seems to be starting a lot earlier this season, and I personally thought we was going to win yesterday, like 2-1 or something like that. But as soon as the game started, and as Steve said there, like the fullback Creswell, you got to add Fredericks to that. Fredericks is poor. I saw him on I think it was his debut down at Ipswich, and that was friendly 2 or 3 years ago. And I thought, Christ, he's poor and all that. And no wonder Tottenham let him go on a free to Fulham. And so we need 2 fullbacks, probably a midfielder, like Steve said. And Antonio ain't going to last the season. He'll pull a hammy or something again. And we've only got Haller up there. We've got Silva, who's untried and all that. But I don't know, same old West Ham again. But we've not bought no one, and we won't buy no one when the window closes on the 5th of October. So we're just with the same squad. And
I read. I didn't hear it. I read, and it was just a rumour that West Brom are now sniffing round Silva. Can you imagine?
Wouldn't surprise me. That's probably a loan deal. I can't see it being a permanent one, but even that, you know what I mean? Like they'll still leave a short. Hugill, everyone slaughters Hugill, but he was never given a chance at our place. You know what I mean? He's gone to QPR, banged in a few in the Championship. Okay, it's not the same level, but you know what I mean? Untried. He wasn't given a chance, and everyone's slaughtering him, going, "Oh, Hugill was a mistake," and all that. We won't know that. We'll never know that because he wasn't given a chance.
He was just as good in the Championship as Dean Garner was. He could have partnered him with Haller, mate. Yeah. Who knows?
We'll never know.
Jetty's gone to Celtic and scored 3 and 3 apparently.
Yeah, I saw him play. I went down to Newport for the cup game last year, and that was his first game. And I thought, oh my God, he don't seem all that, but it was only his debut. It was, I thought, he'll come on and all that, but he was another one who weren't given a chance, and he didn't do much when he did come on in his like fleeting appearances. But give them longer on the pitch. He was bringing them on for like 5-10 minutes at the end of each game and all that, and you can't see what someone's worth when you bring them on for that. So Jetty weren't given a chance. Hugill most certainly wasn't given a chance.
Well, you saying about bringing people on for only a few minutes at the end of the game, what was that all about yesterday when he brought Felipe Anderson on the 88th minute?
Done that a few games towards the end of last season. He was doing that. It ain't going to do nothing, is it?
Point in that? No. It's going to do nothing at all.
Not going to achieve anything. We went 2-0 down and he brings him on what, on 88?
Yeah.
Even with 10 minutes, I think it would have been 1-0 down on 80 minutes or something like that. It's still, I think, really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think, guys? What do you think, Dave?
I feel sorry for Anderson, mate, because in the early days under Pellegrini, like, the thing with Pellegrini, like, you need a massive budget to try and play Pellegrini's type of football, because it was open, expansive. I remember the game against Norwich, and we ripped them apart, and it was beautiful to watch.
That could have been 7 or 8, that one.
It could have been 7 or 8, mate.
This time last year, yeah.
Anderson, like, with Creswell there in behind him, mate, he's got no hope, mate. Creswell doesn't even overlap. He just gets the ball and he passes straight back to the centre-backs. And it's like a game just back and forth all the time. If you had a decent fullback to support Anderson, he's a good player. There's a good player in there. Maybe the work rate, I don't know, like, even his defensive stats were quite good, I believe, which they shouldn't have been, but his defensive stats were good. Anderson's a good player. He's a good player.
He is. Dave, did you see the game yesterday?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
what do you think of that substitution?
I mean, it's sort of silly, isn't it? Too little, too late. I didn't think the first half was that bad, but like, by the time we're 2 down, you're into 80+ minutes. It's silly trying to bring on someone like that. I can see it if you're 1 down and you're trying to chase it. And you think he's going to come on and make an impact, but just sort of chucking him on when we're 2-0 down just for giggles doesn't make much sense.
Did you just say you? Go on, Greg. Sorry.
No, go on, David. Go on.
No, I was just going to ask Dave. Did he just say he was down the pub watching the football?
We're luckily enough, our local establishment is registered as a restaurant.
Right.
So a restaurant license. So they've been through the COVID. So of course there's some social distancing and stuff going on there. But we had 5 of us down there yesterday.
Wow.
The horse voice and the
watching football in the pub, fellas. Do you remember that?
A long time ago.
It's a thing of the past, isn't it?
Steve, what I was going to say is he took Noble off. Now Cullen has been brought back. Yeah, again, he's not been loaned out this time, although there's still time for that. But I thought this is going to be Cullen's make or break season. If he don't make an appearance or whatever this season, he's out of contract at the end of this season, so he'll be gone. But he's had a good pre-season, and I thought he'd at least been on the bench yesterday. And if you bring in Noble off, ideal replacement would have been Cullen. Cullen's sitting in the stands. He weren't even in the squad. I feel sorry for the boy because I reckon he's good enough to be in that team. I really do.
Well, to me, he's a natural replacement for Mark Noble. What do you think, Steve?
You got to give him a chance, didn't you, mate? Remember when Ricey broke through? I think he made a massive mistake on his full debut. Was it? He come on against Burnley, didn't he? That was his debut, but his full debut, he made a mistake at Newcastle.
That's right.
He gave the ball away and they scored. So, they need to make a few mistakes, mate. I've heard good things about Cullen. So, I'm all for the youth, mate. All for it. Give him a chance, mate. It's better than having a 34-year-old as a centre attacking midfielder. Like, even Noble come out last year and he said they shouldn't be relying on me. Like,
he came on as sub in the cup, didn't he, or something? Like when he's changed his team about, he came on as a sub. I think it was a cup game. He said, "I'm being expected to change a game at the age of 33, coming on as a sub." So,
none of our rivals would be playing a 34-year-old Mark Noble in that position. Wolves, Leicester, none of the teams that level we're trying to reach. And
but they should be our rivals, those teams you mentioned, but we're not. that they're not our rivals. I mean, our rivals are the teams like Brighton and now this season it's going to be West Brom and teams like that, Villa, which they shouldn't be. We should be way above them. Look what Sheffield United have done. Look what the other clubs have done since they've come up. And like Wolves, we should be doing that. We should be doing
what
that.
It is? We got to bin off this. Is it this Mr. Silkman and these dodgy agents, and we need to get.
He's in bed with David Sullivan. He ain't going to get rid of him.
We need a proper scouting system. Look at Leicester, yeah. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but they spent 17 mil on Chilwell, Maguire, and Drinkwater, and they made 200 mil back. When was the last time we made a profit on a player? Literally,
we haven't.
We haven't, and that is where the lies. Remember, we could have got N'Golo Kante, but they kept Alex Song for a season.
We signed players with no sell-on value.
Yeah. Right.
Foshizi makes a good point here. I think he's referring to Cullen, like you just said, being up in the stands and sending Diangana out on loan for a year and then selling him before giving him a chance. What is the point in the Academy of Football? And I think it was it may have been Gio on Hammer's chat said that. Or it may have been Gonzo, I can't remember now. But on the carpet at the London Stadium in front of the dugouts where it says the Academy of Football, that's almost embarrassing now having that there, isn't it?
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Makes me almost regret having my massive flag done with the Academy of Football on it, which was at Wembley in 2012. But that's up in the loft. That's gathering dust.
Fantastic. Well, you never know. No, we live in hope, mate. We live in hope, don't we?
Yeah.
Now, there was a comment in the chat that I want to bring up here. Where is it? From Jeff down there in Devon. He says, Jeff from Devon, been a Hammer since 66. We are in a mess. GSB out. Now, there's a theme to that. David and I have both got hashtag GSB out on our names here. Steve's got GSB, got to go. Greg's wearing his GSB out t-shirt. I'm wearing support the board. Not the sorry, no, that's a Freudian slip, isn't it? Support the team, not the board. Yeah, Steve's shirt's up there in the corner over his left shoulder. So there was a little gathering, I understand. I couldn't make it. I was called into work last night. But I believe there was a little gathering at the gates, and you were actually there, Greg.
Yeah, we I met up with some of the cross-dammers, Wayne, Mickey, Cameron, Toby, Rupert, in Stratford, and we thought we'd have a walk around there. Got there, and some of Hammers United were there as well, which surprised us. So there's a little gathering there, like they had their flags up, we put ours up, and it was peaceful. Trevor Booking came in, waved at everyone. David Gold was ushered into another gate, and we see him in the car park behind us or in front of us. Brady and Sullivan didn't turn up while we was there. It was all peaceful. Spoke to the police and all that, and and they said you can't have a gathering of more than 30 and all that. There was 29 of us to be precise. There's one of the coppers counted it, but it was a peaceful demonstration, and we all know it's going to get bigger with this lockdown and COVID stuff and all that. This has saved their bacon a bit, the board, because obviously the last demonstration it was massive. You know what I mean? Well done to Hammers United, but cross-dammers have been at the gates every time. Well before, we've always been at the gates, but it's they've got off lightly with all this COVID. Because it was building momentum, really. It was really building up, head of steam, and then obviously no one's allowed in, and now we're back to square one when there's only a few at the gates. But it's wrong term about kicking off, but it's gonna start to build momentum again and all that. And I can't wait until there are fans back, and then obviously there'll be more outside the stadium and all that. And what we've got to do to get them out, I don't know. We obviously all these protests, it's disrupting their day every time they go into the stadium and all that, seeing everyone there, and It's putting a few noses out of joints, but obviously a lot more has got to be done. So, but yeah, it was a peaceful showing yesterday, and thanks to everyone who turned up.
Now, like I said, I couldn't make it because I got called into work. But I actually I jumped the gun. I went the week before to the Betway Cup, to the Bournemouth game. Now, whilst there were only 4 of us there, and we had no flags or anything between us, and your son Cameron, Greg, he was there.
I heard he wanted my Sack Brady Now flag, but it was in my car with me down in Eastbourne. So,
well, I don't know if they thought that we were like an advanced party or something to something bigger, but I don't know if it happened yesterday. But about 5 minutes before Sullivan and Gold were due to turn up, like a platoon of bloody bouncers came out of the stadium, and they were like on the gates, and they were big old boys as well. And they had the bollards that go up and down. They had them down ready, and their cars just flew in like bloody racing cars. I don't know what they were expecting us to do, but I don't know. It just, like you said, I hope it is something that they do take note of, and it is something that does actually.
Steve, it's putting their noses out of joints. You know what I mean? Turn out every game, you got like banners and people, standing there, not causing disruption, not jumping in the road or nothing like that. It was all on the pavement and all that. And Newcastle, our coach come in, and everyone got a good clap. Newcastle's coming and all that, and then, as I say, Gold was taking around the side bit and all that, and it's putting a few noses out of joints. So it's not nice for them, but obviously I couldn't give a monkey's chuff. You know what I mean? I hope it builds up more momentum and all that. So
yeah, Dave, when you watched the game yesterday in your pub, how many of you there were watching it?
Well, our lot, we're a small group,
right?
But we had 5 turn out yesterday. But you'd have thought it was 24.
What's the feelings your side of the pond towards GSB and what's happening?
They've got to go. They're completely incompetent. They're either like what they've done at the club is either completely malicious, which I don't believe, or they're just muppets. They're not fit to run a football club.
So you think it is probably just more incompetence than anything else?
Yeah, I mean they're playing around. It's a toy for them, It's a couple of rich blokes. Let's chuck some money at something. They're earning a load of interest off the loans that they made to the club, and they're not doing anything to sort of reduce the amount of the principal on that. And then it's just poor decisions one after the other.
How does it feel, Steve, being all the way down there in Exeter? Because obviously you can't just jump in the car and come up here for like what happened yesterday.
It's quite frustrating, really.
Yeah,
it's frustrating, mate. Yeah, because like down here, there's not many West Ham fans either, like there used to be up in London. So it's quite frustrating, really, because like it's a really depressing time in football terms, and you try and like vent your frustration, but it just seems to fall on deaf ears. And when you talk to like-minded people like yourself, you sort of understand what we're all going through. And I believe personally, like when they took over the club, the Olympics was on the horizon in a few years, and they had the intentions of getting the stadium. They knew that London would win the bid, and they had this plan all along. And this is what we're seeing now. This is the plan. This is the plan. Birmingham fans warned us, didn't they?
They did. They
warned us. Absolute poison, mate. It's really depressing. That's all I can say, really. Like, you look at that lineup and you see the trouble we've been in the last few years. And I know Greg, like he said, he expected us to win. And I've always got this feeling that we're going to win. But before the game yesterday, and I see it, and I was like, I just knew what to expect. I just knew. And to make that Newcastle team look half decent, it's a shame on our part, really, isn't it?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that I actually had a bet yesterday that Newcastle would win 3-0.
Steve, can I just interrupt you one moment? I was even checking West Ham relegation odds, mate, because I'm looking at our next fixtures and like just the bad vibes that the owners have created, and they've created it all, and I'm scared, mate. I am worried.
I know. I've looked at our upcoming fixtures, and I honestly think that if we do a proper West Ham, and Greg, I'm sure you and I are similar ages, and I'm sure you can remember sort of, not like these two youngsters below us, sort of going way back, to the 70s and 80s. And we could do a typical West Ham, and I honestly think that if we were to do that, we could get to Christmas with only single-digit points on the table.
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Being West Ham, you know what I mean? Would it surprise you if we won or got some points out of the next 5 or 6 games? That's West Ham for you all over. Wouldn't surprise me if we got no points. Wouldn't surprise me if we got about 3 wins out of that. That's just West Ham, isn't it? You know what I mean? Always expect the unexpected.
Yeah, indeed.
Sorry, Steve, going back top left. Sorry, just briefly. You had a comment just now from Rupert Burden. He came up yesterday. He was one of the cross-hammers. He comes up, as he put there, he comes up from Matlock in Derby. He got the coach up yesterday, early morning, got back home at midnight last night. Yeah. He comes up every game. And he was there yesterday, came up especially for the protest. Got the 8 o'clock coach back from Victoria back to Derby last night. He came down just for the protest.
Wow.
So I know you're watching Roots and all that, but thanks for the rolls and all that. He's our he brings up all the food and all that from Derby for us. He's a top bloke, he is.
Wow.
Yeah, obviously. Wow. Yeah, sorry. Seriously, he came up yesterday all the way from Matlock, Derby, just for that yesterday.
Now that is either pure commitment or pure insanity. You know, Greg, which is it? Oh dear.
Really quickly, Steve, getting back to how the club's being run. I mean, I've never been in football management and I've never owned a football club, but it would make sense to me that, if you're going to have a football team, you need to have at least 3 strikers, especially if you're going to play more than one up front. You're going to need half a dozen wingers, left and right. You need at least 2 number 10s. You need 3 to 4 central midfielders, 2 left backs, 2 right backs, and 3 or 4 centre backs, and then a couple of goalkeepers. Why don't we have that?
Because, Dave, that's common sense.
It just illustrates the point of like why they need to go.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer. They need to go.
I was having a conversation with a Chelsea fan, dare I say it, on Twitter today about Declan Rice. And he was saying that he really hoped that an offer would be made and it would get accepted and blah blah blah. To which my response was, well, as soon as you lot make an offer over 40 million, David Sullivan's going to make a mess in his pants and not be able to press yes on the return email fast enough. And the fear is, of course, that we're not going to have that money reinvested in the team. So what do you think of that, Steve? Am I right with my opinion? Have I got it wrong?
There's a few worrying points there, mate. The first thing is, if we sold him for 40-45 million, even if they did invest it, who would they buy? Because they probably wouldn't be good enough anyway. And I believe 65 mil would turn their heads, and that's a travesty, mate. Because for me, our academy, mate, it's illustrious. We got one of the, everyone knows, but Declan Rice, mate, for me is in the top 3 players we've produced out of our academy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's a bold statement. people who don't watch him week in, week out, they don't realise the guy's got a bit of everything, mate. And he can even shoot now. He's just sort of added that to his game. But as a defensive midfielder, he is so good. Absolutely outstanding, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great game yesterday, did he?
I was just about to say that, Steve. What was it? His 100th Premier League game yesterday, or 100th game for us, and yesterday was probably the worst game he's ever had for us. And it didn't coincide with all this transfer talk and all that, and it's got to affect him. You know what I mean? And just coming back from playing for England twice in a week, comes back and he puts in the worst performance in a West Ham shirt.
Do you know what, gents? It's probably like sorry to interrupt you, mate, but it's probably like the Payet effect in a way. You know, like he goes off to international duty, speaks to like all the boys there. They're like, oh yeah, we're playing Champions League, we're doing this, we're doing that. Rice is looking around at players who are inferior to him, couldn't even lace his boots, mate, on international duty, and they're in for like winning trophies, and he's thinking, your career's short. Like, how long's he going to hang about?
He's a future England captain. That's how good he is. I know the managers hand out the captains aren't banned like willy-nilly now, but I'll tell you what, he's captaincy material.
I've probably got
all the time.
Claret and blue goggles on, but I believe, like, even if he went to a Chelsea, for instance, that's not his ceiling, mate. He could go on to the next Real Madrid, or he's an outstanding player.
Yeah.
But can you believe there were people on social media yesterday slating him for the game he had and saying he should be dropped and now fuck him, just sell him, and stupid nonsense like that?
I'm not saying that. As I said just now, that was the worst, not worst, but he was ineffective yesterday. And for the first time in 100 games, my God, I'd take one more bad game in the next 100 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed. What do you reckon, Dave? Do you reckon the first offer that Chelsea make, Sullivan's going to fall for it?
I think Fashizi just posted down the bottom there. I think he said something about 45 million plus Barkley, and I think it'll be something like that. And I hate to say it, but I think they would jump at something stupid like that.
That's everybody's fear, though, isn't it? I see you shaking your head, Steve. I hope that's in that you don't believe.
I believe they probably. I wouldn't put it past them to do it, mate, but I certainly wouldn't want Ross Barkley at West Ham.
The only thing that blocked that deal, sorry, Steve, the only thing that blocked that deal is that Barkley wouldn't even want to come to us.
Probably, yeah. That's that saving grace, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think 65 mil and they would take it, and that's way under his valuation. If Maguire went for 90, he's got to go for 90 plus, isn't he? That's what I believe personally.
Probably agree with you, Steve, to be honest with
you. Yeah, let's hope so, eh?
So there's no way Maguire's worth that, but what our players worth, you know what I mean?
The thing is, they've sort of shown their hand, haven't they, by screaming poverty. And it's like,
But we pay peppercorn rent over there, you know what I mean? So how can we be pleading poverty when the other clubs are spending? You know what I mean? We're the only club not to have spent a penny, not even a free transfer yet. So
look at Farhad Mosher at Everton. Their wealth isn't much far behind him, and he's going all right, isn't he?
Well, look at Ashley at Newcastle. He's still in the club, or he has been for years. He wants to. He's still putting his hand in his pocket. Look, for free. I wouldn't say top signings, but he's put his hand in his pocket in the last week for Lewis of Norwich and Wilson at Bournemouth, and get the other one now. But he's still putting his hand in his pocket, and he's selling the club. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we've got owners that they want to stay there, but they're not doing nothing.
The thing that he did as well, Greg, is if you actually look at the signings that Ashley's made, he has pinpointed signings for the areas that they were needed. He just didn't say to his favourite agent, "What you got for me?"
And he's not taking any money back out of the club in loans and stuff like that. But that's for another day.
Yeah, they look like Steve Bruce type signings. So he's probably back the manager, isn't he? They do look very Steve Brucey to me. If Moyes was given a chance, I believe he could make some shrewd signings. Souček and Bowen are the best signings that I've seen us make for a good few years.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, talking of signings, are we going to sign anybody? I mean, with the window's open for quite a while still, isn't it? Can you see us?
I think.
Oh,
Can you see us signing anybody, Dave? What areas, if we do, what areas do you want to see strengthened?
First and foremost, the left back. First and foremost, we could probably use another a right back as well. Perhaps some central midfield cover, and then we need someone. We need someone that's in a number 10 role that can actually do the job. I'm not convinced by Fornals. He seems quite good at times, but we need the sort of player that can run at people, you know. And he's not really impressed me there.
But he seems to be being played out of position, David, all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out on the left wing and all that. He's, you know what I mean? He's not a winger. Probably a number 10 role, but then you've got Lanzini, you know what I mean? He can't even get in the side, and Fornals is not a winger.
Where do you think we need to strengthen, Steve?
Defensively, we dropped the most points from winning positions last year. Everyone gets hooked on attackers, and we all want to see great attackers. Like when we signed Anderson, Hilaire, it's so exciting. You get the video come out, and it's nice. But I think it was 26 points, 24 or 26. We dropped from winning positions, and I'm kind of hooked on this Tarkowski figure at the moment, and I would love to see him at the club because to partner Ogbonna, that is what we need. We need a left back as well, right back, as Dave alluded to, but definitely a good centre back would do the trick. Because Issa Diop, I thought he was going to be the next. Oh, I loved him when he first come, but he seems really sloppy and a bit panicky at the moment. Yeah, I'd like Tarkowski, mate. I would.
I don't think we've got Cat and L's chance of getting him, Steve, to be honest with you.
No.
But Burnley have asked for like a certain asking price, and typical West Ham gone in and offered about 10, 15 million less. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, they've gone in and up the bid to what, 30 million? Well, personally, I don't think Tarkowski's worth that, but he wouldn't come to us anyway. He's on the fringes of the England squad. He's played a few games. I know Rice is playing for us and he's in the England squad, but Tarkowski, I don't think he's the answer to our problems, but each to their own.
Money talks, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I think what Kent Hammers has said there, I think that's going to take serious Declan Rice type money to get 4 players like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the worry.
All depends who Kent Hammers is talking about, whether they're like Championship players or established Premier League players. But whichever way, even a Championship player now costs millions. Won't get them for peanut.
Right, in the chat, before we go on, people in the chat, if you've got any questions that you want to put to my esteemed guests, stick them in now and I will throw them up for you. I keep dropping this bloody pen on the floor. On the signings, I agree. We need defenders. We need fullbacks. We need a centre-back. It could be argued that, yes, we need a striker and yes, we need a backup centre midfielder. But I think the priority surely, has it not got to be in defence? And I think with that as well, if David Moyes, and this I think was part of the problem yesterday, he's got to play the players in their natural positions. Like all you guys have just said, it's no good playing Fornals on the left wing. He's a number 10, isn't he?
He's ineffective on the left, so it's like starting the game with 10 men in effect.
Yep. You can't play Declan Rice as a number 10. Not at his age. Not even probably with his skill levels, to be honest.
Mark Noble.
Yeah.
Getting back to the defence and all that, getting even further than the defence. Going back to the goalkeeper, I'll tell you what. Since that injury, Fabianski, he hasn't been the same player. And I don't know if I'm the only one. I reckon he could have been a bit quicker to that yesterday when Wilson stabbed that ball home. I'll tell you what.
Yep.
I thought that was his fault. And I'll tell you, it might be time for Fabianski or start looking at a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that Tim's not on the show tonight, because talking about Fabianski, this would have had to have come up on the screen. He would have gone absolutely fucking batty about what Fabianski did then. And there was when I listened to a little bit of it before I started work, and it was one of the early balls that Newcastle put across. The commentator said, "Oh, and Fabianski's flapping at him." Now that was what he always used to get called, wasn't it? Was Flappy Hansky.
That's when he was asked.
Yeah, and he's been so quite assured since he come to us. I thought, oh fuck, don't tell me we're going to get the old Arsenal bloody Fabianski now. So that was a worry.
Yeah, no, he started off all right, but as I said, going back when he got injured at Bournemouth, and then came back too early, got injured again, and since then he just hasn't seen the same keeper. He's been superb for us since he signed, but since the injury, not for me.
Right,
Randolph's not my, first choice, but at the moment, I think got to give Randolph a chance.
Yeah. Our first question in the chat, Steve. I'm going to throw this one over to you.
Go on, mate.
Where will we finish at the end of the season?
Signing dependent, really. We've got to move fast with good signings. If we don't make no signings, I think 17th. If we make a few good signings and get the Tarkovsky, which I don't think we will, slightly higher, I'd say 14th.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Steve. A lot of it's going to depend on if we bring somebody in. Right now, the way we're set up and the players that we've got on hand, I'm really struggling to find 3 teams that are worse than us. I think we're going to be right in it if we don't bring in some defensive options.
I personally think that if we don't sign anybody, we are going to be this season's Norwich City. Now that may sound a bit grim, but that's how I'm feeling. Greg, what do you think?
I'm like Steve. Well, I think we won't go down. If you offer me 17th place now, I'll rip your hand off, considering the pre-season, upheavals we've had or whatever. You'll probably laugh, but I'm going to go between 10th and 12th.
That's optimistic. Wow.
I know. But as I say, if you offer me 17th now, I'll take it. I'll bite your hand off.
Going off the last 5 games of last season, I would have thought so, but after watching the game, mate.
Oh yeah, I understand that. Yeah, and the game's coming up now, but it's just. I think there's clubs that are going to be worse off than us. I really do. West Brom and Fulham.
Yeah.
Come on, if we can't be better than them.
Fulham are going to struggle.
Brighton, I think we'll finish above Brighton. No, made a couple of signings, Lallana as well. But if we can't finish above teams like that, I know Brighton finished above us, I know that. But if we can't finish above teams like that, then we deserve to be in that bottom 3.
Yeah. What do you make of this one, Greg?
Go on, somebody's probably slaughtered me for the 10th to 12th finish.
Somebody said, Rupert said, you're having a bubble, Greg.
Boy, Rupert, your rolls are shit, mate, or cobs, whatever you want to call them up in Derbyshire.
And here's one. Greg, you see that one? Oh, he's frozen. Greg's frozen right at the right minute. Right, there was another question. I'm going to throw you out in a sec, Greg, and see if you can get back in if you don't. Oh, you're there.
Go on. You back? Yay.
Did you see this one? I showed it and you froze just as I showed it.
That's big fits. Yeah, I don't think we're fucked with no signings, but as I said, I think the other teams are worse off than us. Not worse off, that I think we can finish above teams like Brighton, West Brom, Fulham. So, the big fits anyway. Keep sending those dodgy WhatsApp messages. But no, I think we're finished above 17th and above. So, I'm not confident we'll be okay, but it's probably just
Foshi's is confident.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's my heart ruled in my head, but I seriously think there's 3 teams or more worse than us.
I think.
Look at our bench yesterday. Look how strong that bench was yesterday of ours. What other clubs around us, or that will, West Brom, they can't have a bench like that. Lanzini, Anderson, are there. That's just 3 out of the 7. You know what I mean? We had a massive. I'd say that was our strongest bench I've known, probably. As a West Ham
what's
fan.
The point in having a bench like that when he's bringing Anderson on in the 88th minute?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Don't you just wish that you could get hold of Moyes and just shake him? So what the fuck? What are you doing?
I'd like to do that to the owners as well, to be honest.
Well,
you're being nice.
Yeah.
They've not given him no money. You know what I mean? And was that Sal Diangana done behind Moyes' back? Not behind his back, but just like overruled him, and so
yeah, definitely.
We don't know. We've not heard from Moyes at all. Moyes has not come out and said anything about it. He may have been gagged and all that. Like Noble was taken in the office on Monday, and so.
Yeah, but if I take you back to the quote from Moisey that I gave at the beginning of the show when he said I've been put in charge. Sorry, but the area that I've been put in charge of is on the pitch. It's almost like, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like a subtle dig at Sullivan, isn't it?
Yeah. Shouldn't be like that though.
No.
You can't, we've got no director of football. Sullivan thinking he's director of football, saying like buying and selling players, and then saying to Moyes, this is what you have to deal with.
Well, Will Salthouse is his director of football, isn't he?
Hey?
That's funny how me and Dave said that at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, Will Salthouse is our director of football, isn't he?
Yeah, another good friend who Sullivan's in bed with. Come on. Who's heard of him apart from anyone at West Ham? Nobody.
I know, right? Well, apparently Crystal Palace shared the same sort of disdain for him that we do. Apparently he's got a lot of players at Palace as well.
Yeah.
Right, here's one. Who wants to start that?
Do you know
Stephen Exeter, go on.
We could resurrect Harry Houdini, and he couldn't work under the current ownership, mate. We could resurrect Harry Houdini. Nobody can work under them. It's impossible. Yeah. I could throw out any name in the world. It doesn't matter because it starts from the top. So somebody
struggle to keep us up, I think.
Somebody to keep us up until they go.
All right, not who I would have as manager, but I think the next incoming manager will be Eddie Howe. Not that I'd have him, but I'm just saying. I think Moyes, if we don't get any results in the next six to 8 games, I reckon he could be gone. And if Howe is still out of the job, I reckon he's ready made. But not that I'd have him, but I think that's who the board will take. And I think he'd jump it at Eddie Howe. I think he'd jump it.
That would be a terrible combination, wouldn't it? Look at Bournemouth signings that they've made with them not in charge of us, and the signings that Bournemouth made under Howe. No way. It's like
I'm not saying I'd have him, Steve, but what I'm saying is I think that's who the board would take. It'd just be the cheap, easy option yet again. That's all. I'm not saying I'd have him. I wouldn't have him.
Wow.
What about you, Steve? Top left.
Do you know what? For the life of me, I can't think who I would want to have.
Nobody out there, really, is it?
No. I think maybe reaching into the realms of fantasy. You might say like Poch or someone like that, but
he wouldn't come to us.
Do you know what I'd love to see?
But
Go on.
I'd love if we're in a dogfight, say come December, January, Paolo Di Canio, mate. I would love it. to give him, I would love Paolo Di Canio. That would give everyone a lift.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of the press conferences when he's had to deal with Sullivan, Gold, and Brady for a while.
Oh dear, could you imagine?
He'd walk all the way from Rome to come to us, but there's no way the board would have him.
No.
Yeah.
He's quite a disruptive influence in the dressing room as well, isn't he? As manager, from what I've heard, he's a bit over aggressive, shall we say?
But sometimes you need that, Steve. Sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
He'd kick a few arses. You wouldn't take no shit like he did at Swindon, dragging players off the pitch and arguing with them in the tunnel and all that.
That's what I mean.
It's passion. I love it. As Steve said, you know what I mean?
The intensity levels would go through the roof, mate, because his training is so intense and hard. He'd be good, mate. He'd be good. That's all I could think of. Under the current ownership, Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah. Neil's asked an interesting question here. I've heard a lot about it. Well, I say a lot. I've heard a bit about this young lad, Ademipo Odebego.
I'm glad you tried.
Apparently, yeah, I know. Well, apparently he's got a fucking shot like a howitzer cannon on him.
Did you see the one at Southend the other night?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But in saying that, I was talking to Cameron yesterday going up there, and I was talking about this and all that lack of strikers, and I said, everyone's talking about this player that Steve Mothersole can't pronounce. I said, but what about Silva? I said, he's been doing this for the last 2 years. I said, and everyone's saying get him in the squad, and he's had the odd, appearance in the cup and all that. I said, what is this player after one game, or what we've seen after one game, going to jump over Silva? Silva's been doing this for 2 years, so there's a bit of reality.
What, has he been hitting them like this bloke can?
Well, Silva's been banging him in for the last 2 years for the under-23s, and now suddenly this bloke was everyone's talking about him now, not Silva.
What about Tony Martinez? He was banging him in, weren't he? His goal record was outstanding.
I've seen him in the first team, the odd chance he got and all that. I know there's a lot of jetty. He didn't have much chances, but he just didn't seem to have it at Premier League level. But it's a big step up.
And he's another one banging them in. I can't remember where he went. Was it Portugal? The club he went to. Was it in Portugal? Can't remember. But apparently he's been banging them in. Yeah.
Is it Porto?
Oh no,
FC Porto, yeah.
Oh no, you're not thinking of that Caleri, Spain?
No, I'm sure Martinez went to a Portuguese club.
He had a good record, didn't he? Like for Valencia before he joined us, albeit at under 23 level, but he was literally like 40 goals in 30 games or something ridiculous. Caleri, he was a disaster, wasn't he?
Jonathan Caleri. Oh.
Always said to Cameron now, we was playing Bournemouth at home. It was a one-on-one, and he's missed it. I think he put it wide, and that's just a thin line. You know what I mean? If he'd have put that away on his debut, who knows what he'd have done? But he missed it. And his only goal was what? A deflection up at Stoke, I think, or Middlesbrough, I think. And just to find margins. You know what I mean?
Who else was it? Simeone Zaza.
Next subject.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Could you imagine? Oh dear.
Who's the other one who scored in the 15-16 season, he scored the hat-trick at Blackburn away. What's his name? Nigerian fella.
Oh, that was in the cup.
Remember Pyatt scored that goal, didn't he? The free kick, and he run it.
Yeah, that was 5-1 away at Blackburn.
Yes, mate. Can't remember his name. Can't remember it. The list goes on, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, the amount of strikers we've had under goal.
Emenike?
That's it.
Emenike.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah. Was you googling that, Dave?
Well, no. Just the brain.
Oh, cheers, Ken Amazon.
Used to, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Now Neil makes a good point here. Look,
I reckon 8 to 10 changes, whereas he shouldn't. Well, people were on the bench yesterday, obviously, like still first teamers and all that, but I wouldn't make more than five changes. Let's take the cup. Let's take A Cup seriously for a change. As you said earlier, Steve, you're the same age group as me, and obviously the two under us ain't. But come on, it's about time. I'd rip your hand off a League Cup final win now. You know what I mean? People go, yeah. Oh, let's have a good cup run and then finish about 10th in the Premier League. No, I don't want a good cup run. I want a cup win, not a cup run.
Yeah.
Before I put my clocks, I want to go to a cup final and win it with Cameron by my side. Then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm not happy until I see us win another domestic trophy. I've seen us win one. Being a playoff final with Cameron and watching 2 playoff wins, he even said, Dad, he said, I haven't even seen us win anything yet. So 2 playoff wins for him is nothing. He wants to see a domestic trophy, and so do I. I don't want a good cup run. I want to win.
Yeah, I was 13 years old when we beat Arsenal in 1980. Other than that, what we had the final against Liverpool, didn't we?
81.
Yeah, that was
81 the League Cup final. I went to both. Yeah.
We had the League Cup final
in Metz.
Yeah, well, you don't count the fucking Egg Cup.
No, but people that were out there, Steve, I went out there like it was, you know.
Well,
you'd have thought we won like a massive trophy. It's just you know. Exactly. That's what it is with West Ham fans. We remember good days out rather than trophy wins. You know what I mean, or cup wins.
Yeah. Should we do some Hammers polls?
Right.
Right. First question is: should Noble get another chance and play as CDM next week? Yes or no?
In a word, no.
No.
Not for me, no.
Steve?
No.
So that's 4 no's then. Oh yes, we're in the majority there with that one. That one was quite easy, wasn't it? Skip past the advert. Should Cullen now get?
From? Sorry, go down a bit, Steve. Who was that?
Who's it from?
Yeah, no, Bomb. Is it Bomb Stickler? Where? No, sorry, go on.
What?
I said, no, go on. Sorry, I couldn't see it. Sorry, go on.
Okay. Should Cullen now get his chance in the first team ahead of Noble?
Yes.
We'll go. Yeah. Steve?
No.
Oh.
Not a starting, no. For me, it's Souček and Rice in the middle.
Right, but the question was ahead of Noble.
You know, but Dave, you had Souček, Rice and Noble there yesterday. I put Cullen in against Charlton on Tuesday.
Yeah, put him in against Charlton, but with the atmosphere at the club and the way we're playing right now, no, it wouldn't be good for him. I don't think so.
Steve, does it affect the players? They're playing in an empty stadium, and these problems are, to them, obviously, we get to you about it day in, day out. They just go into training. I don't think all these problems with Goldsullivan and Brady, I don't think it bothers them, to be honest with you. They probably don't even hear about it.
Can I just interrupt you a second?
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt you all a second here, folks, and say to Fo Sheezy, Fo, we will meet again one day, my friend. Cheeky bastard! I ain't that old, am I? He's been talking to Tim, hasn't he?
Well, you just gave it away that you was 13 when you was at the cup final. Well, I'm 2 years older than you. I was 15 then.
Yeah.
98. We were talking about 98.
Yeah. But I certainly wasn't 13 years old when I saw Vic Watson playing, like Foshizi just said. Anyway, back to Josh Cullen. I don't think he should be given a chance ahead of Noble, because surely in that role is either Fornells or Lanzini in the 10 role.
Oh, if you're talking about as a 10, yeah, I don't even think he fits in the equation there. I think he's good cover for the midfield. I think cup games would be a good chance to run him out, give him a chance, bring him on as a sub late or something like that, because he's had good distribution. He's shown a bit of class. You just need to see if he can do it, at the big level,
But if the planets aligned and we had Rice and Souček together with Fornells or Lanzini in front of them, and you've got Noble and Cullen on the bench, and either or any one of those three that I just mentioned picks up a knock, who would you rather come on to replace them, Noble or Cullen?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, most of the time you'd have to say Noble because of his experience, but Noble's he's getting on, isn't he? He's only got, I mean, maybe this year, next year at the outside, left at the top level. You've got to start blooding younger players, or preparing the next generation. You know what I mean? So, and he's not going to do that unless you bring him in and give him a chance to play.
So it's a very interesting question, isn't it? Well, what would you do with that, Greg? Like the scenario that I just presented.
I only heard a couple of seconds of that. All of you cut out.
Okay.
All I heard was David saying about
right.
Noble, like on Cullen coming on and Noble coming on.
Okay, let me repeat the question. Then you've got Rice and Souček together, and then you've got either Lanzini or Fornells in the 10 in front of them. On the bench, you've got Noble and Cullen. Which one of those two would you bring on if you had to take one of those three off if they had like a knock or something?
I'd bring Cullen on. Personally, I couldn't see Cullen and Noble being on the same bench, on the bench together anyway. But I don't.
No.
If Noble isn't going to start, then I wouldn't even have him on the bench. As I said earlier, like he even said it last season, bringing a 33-year-old on to try and change the game. So I'd have Cullen there. So yeah, Josh Cullen all day.
So how are we going to answer this question then? Should Cullen now get his chance in the first team ahead of Noble? Are we saying yes or no to that? Just as it's written.
I'm saying yeah. He's in the same sort of position as Noble. I'd start Cullen, yeah. Starting with the game on Tuesday against Charlton, yeah. I know I said play your strongest teams in the cups and all that, but don't make too many changes. But I'd definitely make that a change on Tuesday. I'd bring Josh Cullen in.
Steve, as the question's written, what would you say, yes or no?
Yeah, I'd start him against Charlton, but I don't know, if we're winning a game and I had to bring one on, I'd still bring Noble on. Noble shouldn't start games, but I'd definitely bring Noble on if we're winning games. Not to change a game. So if we're losing, I wouldn't bring Noble on, but I'll definitely bring Noble on to shore it up because he's got a good 20 minutes in him. That's what I believe.
Dave, as the question's written?
As it's written, so the key word there is chance, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I think he should be given a chance. And yes, he's going to have to go ahead of Noble to do that. So yes for me.
As written, I concur. I would say yes, and 81% say yes. Okay, let's very quickly yes or no this one, because this next question we could talk all night on, I think. So just a straight yes or no, top to bottom. Greg, was Mark Noble right to criticise the club for selling Diangana? Yes or no?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Dave?
Absolutely, yes.
I agree. Yes.
He's the captain. He's the captain, Steve. If he can't have a say, who can have a say?
I agree. I agree. I agree. Right. I think. That right there.
I was at that game. I tell you, it was a damn squib. That was there for the taking.
Yeah. Yeah. It was indeed.
And we were timid about it too. It was horrible.
Right. I think, fellas, I'm going to start drawing things to a close now. We've been going for a little while now. So thank you all for watching this week's American Hammers TV and friends. My thanks to our guests, obviously, as ever, fellas. It's been fun. It's been very interesting. Thank you all for your great insights, as always. To the chat, many thanks for getting involved. I love to see all the interactions, and my apologies if there are any comments or questions that I did miss. And lastly, but most importantly, I think, if you have enjoyed this video, and this is to the people at home, please, please, please like, subscribe, and click on the little notification bell. There's lots of great content during the week, and some of the shows are brilliant. Tim's worked hard putting people together, and the people really are committing themselves now to the channel, and it's fantastic. And if anybody out there watching does want to be in any of our shows as a guest or maybe even as a host, hit us up on Twitter or Facebook or email us at americanhammers.net and we'll get you on. So until next week, thank you all for joining.
Steve, can I briefly say something?
Quickly. Go on.
Love and thoughts to Rick Elliott and your family at the moment.
Thanks, Greg.
Oh, also, Steve.
Come on, you on. Oh.
Also, hang on. Cheer up, you lot. We're only 3 points out of first place. Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.
There's always one, isn't there?